This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Robin Dreeke.
Did Natalee Holloway get justice? That's the question I think a lot of people are wondering after the plea deal that was made between the United States and Joran van der Sloot recently. Natalee's mother, Beth, saying that yes, and I'm paraphrasing, she feels like justice was served and that she can now have some closure. Joining me to discuss this, Robin Dreeke, retired FBI head of the Behavioral Analysis Program. Robin, all that matters, I guess, really is mom in this when it comes down to it, and what she's feeling. And if she feels she has closure, good, because she certainly is entitled to it. On the other end of it, I'm looking at this case. I'm looking at how easy it would have been for someone to say to Joran van der Sloot, hey, all you have to do is say that, yes, you did this. Tell us the story you got, which seems to rotate by the day. And then we're going to give you 20 years and you'll probably never serve any of it because it's going to run side by side with what you're serving in your own country. This just doesn't feel like justice was served in terms of punishing someone for this crime, especially after an admission like this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, your opening question is such a good, profound one. Did Natalee Holloway get justice? She's dead. She won't have justice.
True.
She deceased prematurely in a otherwise fruitful life, which is the sad, tragic part. The justice, as you said, is for the mom and the family, and the fact that they define what justice is for them, and that is they wanted some closure. And I think they got their closure. Now, when it comes to the justice system, the thing that really struck me with this, I don't like Aruba's system.
Yeah.
How can you have a statute of limitations on murder? That just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
And that's the real sad part. So I'm going to use my conjecture voice here, as I always do on your show. To me, this is a troubled individual that was addicted to drugs. So you don't start smuggling cocaine into prison unless you have a pre-established issue with drugs. And so I think this is a dope dealer. Excuse the root vernacular for it. That is just a horrible human being that has rage issues, that when he feels slighted from any female, he's going to act out violently. And that's exactly what happened to Natalee Holloway. But he's clever enough, and I say just enough because I think he's a low intellect kind of guy, but clever just enough to know the legal systems where he was doing these things to get away with it.
Yeah.
That's the injustice. And but again, all that matters to me, and I think most people, is the family. They're not getting Natalee back, but they can at least have some rest. And luckily he was dumb enough, under whatever drug-induced craze he was, to try to extort the parents. I mean, it's adding depravity to horribleness by him doing it, but it tipped his hand and to allow this to come to fruition.
Why do you think they made a deal with him to begin with? Because that to me in itself was troubling as well. The original parameters that we had heard of what was going to happen, they're going to come in here, they're going to try him for the extortion of the $25,000 from Beth Holloway, Natalee's mother, and he'll likely get another 30-some years that would run on top, not side by side, but on top of his current sentence in Aruba, where then he'd come here to the States and serve that. Now suddenly it's 20 years consecutively that will be time served in Aruba, and the only way he'd be seeing a jail cell in the United States is if for some reason the sentence there were to be excused or he were to be let out of that. Other than that, there's no reason for him to come here. Why even make a deal with someone like this? Just to hear the words come out of his mouth, I killed her?
Yeah, I think so. Only they can really answer that question. And I think so much time has been able to pass that they're able to move from, through the phases of grief. And I think they finally got to a phase of grief that they're just looking for closure at any cost, because I think they just have moved beyond him. Again, pure conjecture on my point, but yeah, I'm glad for them that it's just done. So all the hypotheses that it was him all these years and being suspected of it. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for confirmation, looking for closure. They know how she went. It was horrendous. It was just tragic. But I think enough time had passed that they're able to get to that phase where they're not focusing on him. They're over him. Mm-hmm. It's about her and their closure. That's why they're able to do it, I think.
Sure. When we're talking specifically about what he admitted to with the investigators to make this deal, it's not the same story that he's talked about in the past. In the past, it was they were out on a boat, cinder block weighed her down, and she went to the bottom of the ocean. Now it's they were on a beach, and she rejected his advances, so he happened to go find a cinder block. And the brutality of how it was described was almost, I felt like, him taking a little pitchfork to the family and going, here, her face caved in, or whatever horrible way that he phrased it. Does it matter if he's not telling the same story, if his story isn't even true? I mean, I believe he probably killed her, but the fact that the story keeps changing, what is that? Why is that? And then why did investigators buy that? Was this all mainly weighed on Beth Holloway being a part of this, saying, if he wants to admit, then we can do this? Was it more her decision for it to go down this road? Or were investigators, would they be more apt to do whatever makes the most sense so he sees the fullest extent of the law?
I don't get the sense that the investigators are going for full extent of the law on this. It looks like they're just trying to service the mother. And yeah, his story's changing all the time. Time has passed. Again, drug-induced actions, that time, brain cells killed, false memories implanted. There's a lot of things that can take place in someone's memory banks before they actually admit something openly like this. And so the only thing what mattered to the mother was that he admitted he did it. All right. So how he did it, well, if they're going for prosecution of it, they're going to want certain specifics so they can go for, but again, it shows intent. It shows a lot of things, no matter how it transpired, but they don't have a weapon. They don't have a body. So what they have an admission of guilt, and that admission keeps changing over time, which, okay, given his background, given his time lapse and from the event to now, all these things come together to make it whatever he wants. To me, he doesn't even require or need any more attention because he's going to be away for a while longer. What's really tragic is he's going to get out if he lives.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.